Yeah, I wanted to talk here today a little bit more on the Contender. I was talking the other day on this Contender in 218B. I did get a comment on it from Randy, asking a few questions, and I appreciate that, Randy. Uh, it's nice to see somebody is wondering what I'm up to or what I'm talking about. What we got here, this is the round for this gun right here. He was asking about the kicking force. That's pretty small round. These guns, and you was talking about the bi- bipods or tripods for them. These guns were actually developed as a bench rest shooting pistol for metallic silhouette shooting. Back in the late 50s, early 60s, up into the 70s, these that was the main use for these was competition target shooting, which they actually were up against for years. The silhouette shooting, these Remington XP100s right there. That was in 221 Fireball. That was the about the best, what everybody wanted. You know, it was the hot item out until the Contender come out. Now that's a single shot pistol, like I said, for long range silhouette shooting. And the idea behind the Contender was that the break open action had better pressure than the bolt action, where you had the open breech in the back compared to the Contender. The idea of being able to just stick your round in there and shut it, and you were sealed off without no bolt lock, was the catch. And they did actually outshoot the XP100 Remington, which had its flaws. I had 3 or 4 of them, and they all had unsafe triggers to me. And if you're looking at Remingtons, if you look at a Remington Mohawk 66, it's that XP100 pistol made into a rifle. And it's notorious for triggers going off when they're not pulled. And those XP100s were the same. My first introduction to these Contenders was this one right here. In 1974, my brother-in-law bought that. I see there's the same gun. Look at the difference in the bullet. I mean, that's ridiculous, isn't it? Then not only that, you step over here, there's 45, or 44, excuse me. So there's the same gun, again in 44 caliber. Then if you want to get real crazy, and I couldn't find a loaded one. I know I have them, but I couldn't find them. 4570 in a 16-inch barreled carbine. Now the secret to these guns and what happened, these went from silhouette shooting into the hunting. People thought these would be good for hunting, which you only got one shot. But if you're a one shot, one kill guy, I guess you felt secure at that. But the thing was, and what killed these, was right here. If you're hunting and you pull back your hammer, oh, you see that won't do that because see how that won't lock? That's because I pulled that back and cocked it, and then I held it and let the trigger off like a 30-30 rifle. And now that won't cock again until I break it open and cock the gun, and that'll recock this and let that hammer stay back. See if I can do it on this one. No, it's been pulled too. I usually don't keep tension on them. See, probably none of these have tension because I let it off. Oh, see, there's one. See how that's locked? Now, if I let that off, now that will not open. That will not lock back now. You got to break open the gun and close it again to recock it, and that'll come back. And that killed it for hunting. Nobody liked the fact that you had to recock your gun if you didn't shoot it and make noise for deer to hear. Plus right here, this thing right here cuts your finger every time you shoot it. It's one of the reasons there's a Gen 2. They changed the trigger guard. They changed this handle. They made that where you didn't have to open it up and cock it. That you could let it off with the trigger and then recock it without opening the gun. So that was problem 2 solved. Plus they made the frame a little bigger so you could go up into a little bit heavier caliber. Like 30-06, I believe. These will shoot up to a 30-30. I've had these in 30-30, I believe. That might have been a Gen 2. I built a couple Gen 2s for my brother-in-law's. Got me a little confused, but that's a beast right there, that 4570. If I put a regular button load for a rifle in that, you can't hold it. It'll blow clear out of your hands. What you got to do, and why these never caught on around here, you got to have this loading manual for Contenders. I haven't opened this for years. I bet that's in the 4570. No, I'm in the 30-30. Must have been when I was doing my brother-in-law's. But they have different loading specs of different powder so that you can control the gun when, that's a nice pen, when you can control the gun and actually hit with it. That 4570, after I tamed it down with the load out of that book, it was like a 20 gauge shotgun. And it is a Leopold 4-7 shotgun scope on there. Always had a sweet shooting little gun too. I swear they load that down, you can almost watch that projectile go over there 200 yards and hit the target. It's crazy. It's fairly accurate. Now this 35 Remington, that's a ball buster. If you notice, I got Pachmeyer grips on there because I couldn't hold it with the wooden grips. It hurt my hand too much. You have to download them. And back when in the 70s, we didn't reload. I mean, I knew how, but I didn't have no reloading equipment. So we were shooting factory loads out of that and killing ourselves, actually. Once I tamed down and made some loads for it, I couldn't believe how much nicer that was to shoot. More pleasant. Like I say, these are all the Gen 1 models. And the Gen 1s, there was the serial numbers on these for some reason. I haven't checked since the computer age here. I was messing with these back before I even had a computer. But the serial numbers, you couldn't figure out what year your gun was because they jumped around in the numbers and got all mixed up. But if you look at this one, there's no way, if you look, you'll see 2 firing pins down in there. Now to make that shoot from rim fire to center fire when you change the barrel, which they change with 1 screw and a pin, real easy. But with this one, you had to cock it back and you had to stick a tool they had in there and rotate that firing pin to go from rim fire to center fire. Where on this one, say you see it better on this one. On this one, they put a switch right here on the top of the hammer. Now I got it in a neutral safety position there, but you can see right's rim and I think that's an RN. But you rotate that for your rim fire, center fire. Now these are all center fire right now. Even this small 218B is a center fire cartridge. I got these with that gun, but I was afraid to shoot them because of the guy that loaded them, and I bought this gun off of. Well, he kind of reminded me of Popcorn Sutton, Moonshiner. So I wasn't going to shoot his loads. But and then this is actually a rifle, 35 Remington load here that I just brought out to show you what a 35 Remington, the size of the bullet that gun will shoot. But I wouldn't shoot this rifle cartridge in that pistol. I'd load my own out of that manual. Yeah, 221 Fireball. That was the conquering round for years, and this 218B was like chasing it. In that competition shooting, a lot of people were shooting this 218, a lot were shooting the 221 Fireball. They're both a Remington cartridge. Until this come along. The 222 Remington. That's why nobody knows what a 218 Fireball is. Because this 222 come out and blew them all out of the water. And before you knew it, nobody was loading the 218B anymore. Because the 222 made it obsolete. And there's a list of ammunition, and I'm not sure how to explain it. I can't think of the names. It's abbreviation like NOE or ACR or something like that. But there's a list of ammunition that is factory loaded. Well, not factory, but production loaded, say. They're common. You can buy them in stores. And then when you get like the 218B, you might find some that are factory loaded. But they're not on that list of the factory loaded ammo that's made and produced. This would be on a different list. This is like, oh, I wish I could remember those letters. This is like antique or first generation or something, I guess you'd call it. That's hard to believe that same gun will shoot clear up that 45-70, yeah. I shot some regular rifle rounds out of that. I got hit in the ear and my buddy blew that clear out of his hand and I had to catch it before it hit the ground. Now these are all Contender barrels. Today, there's, I don't know how many companies out there making Contender barrels, but all mine are factory made Contender. Back in the day, I just seen where Smith & Wesson sold Thompson Center back to the investors that used to own it. So Thompson Center is going back to New Hampshire, I think it is, to their original home and starting to be produced by who they were before, which I don't think they'll ever be as good. Here I have this is a 45 410 shotgun. So you see it's got a choke in it. That'll shoot a 410 shotgun round or a 45 long Colt. So these guns, they're just limitless to the calibers up to, I think, 30-30. Well, 35 bigger than 30-30 though. I know the Gen 2s were a heavier frame, took a bigger round. But like I say, I'm partial to these first generations. I know I got bunch of pistols and I got some rifles. I got some that got 22-inch barrels on them. Thumb hole stocks, beautiful weapons. If you look back through my other videos, you'll see I made some Contender videos that show some of my other ones. Beautiful collection of firearms. Like I say, this would be the oldest with that having to go in behind that hammer and change that from center fire to rim fire. Then I believe it went to this one here. If you look at this one here, it's got a button. You push this button right here, and that changes you from center fire to rim fire. And then when they go to these ones, they got the lever. That was about the biggest change in them that there was. I bought this one actually off, like I said, off my brother-in-law. And what happened? Guys took them out in the woods and hunted with them first year or two. And then they just decided they didn't like them, mainly because of the way you had to break it back open and recock it if you didn't shoot it when you pulled the hammer back. So that's why they didn't catch on around here. I watched videos. Yeah, this was a video on him, but now he's with something else. But these are made to be shot off of a rest. You watch them videos, them guys are shooting them offhand, and these are bench rest guns. That's what their purpose was. Like I say, if you look at some of these videos, you'll see them. This guy here, he's plunking it.
These may look like dentures or partials, but in fact, it's some of the newest dental implant technology.
I watched most of this video, but this guy, you're never going to be accurate with that pistol shooting that guy. I've owned them. They're terrible. You had to be on a rest. I think if you look down the side too, you've seen a lot of people shooting on rest with them. Same with them contenders. If you don't rest them on something, you're not going to shoot. You're not going to hit. He's just wasting ammo there with that guy. And if you look, he has trouble getting at the clothes, and it's fussy, and I don't know what people seen in them that they were so popular for years till the Contender come along. And Savage Arms makes a single shot pistol like that, bolt action. And I think a few other companies do too. Whether silhouette target shooting still a thing or not, I don't know. We never had it around here. That's why these didn't catch on. All of these were bought to hunt with. I'm going to break out this one and tell a story of where I bought that and how, like I say, the old man was like popcorn something. Got me drunk as hell. That's how I know that was 1991. I didn't drink in 92. That was 1991 I bought that. Alright, I said about everything I can think of. Oh, the weight. Now, Randy was mentioning on the weight. I weighed him here with my trusty scaler here. I'm not going to try to do it single-handed. But this one is 3 pounds, 1/4 ounce. This one's 4 pounds, 3/4 ounce, almost 5. I didn't weigh that one, but that one's probably a hair, probably about the same. It's got a scope, but these Pachmayr grips are heavier. If you notice, this forearm has 2 screws. This one has 1. Pachmayr made an adapter that's underneath that grip that it adapts that from 2 screws to 1. But like I said, on this one there's no screws. On this one there's 1 screw. Now this is a screw with a bezel. This bezel around that screw, the later ones are built in like this one, where you didn't have no bezel. It was just a screw. So when you ordered parts for these, or when you got these, you was always looking for those bezels or the correct screws, or dealing with this gun and that pin that holds this on. I got me a direct connection to the repair shop, not the service department, right to the repair shop, to a guy's workbench. And he used to get right in his toolbox and just send me anything I needed. I bought a .22 rifle barrel, 16-inch. Couldn't find a handguard. Called him, he said, I got 2 of them. He said, boy, those are rare. He said, I got a dark one and a light one. He said, what do you want? I said, give me the dark one. Sent it to me free. Good man. Boy, when Thompson Center went down, I cried. Like I say, I have a lot of the older antique barrels octagon. Well, this is octagon. But a lot of the old octagon barrels, the choked barrels, through the years they tried all kind of different muzzle brakes on them and things like that. Now, like I say, if you buy a Thompson Center barrel, I believe it's used because, or it's Smith & Wesson. I think Smith & Wesson even quit making. But just how versatile is a gun that you can do that much things to it. Oh, this is around to come around, sort of blew them all away later, was the 220 Swift. But we'll talk about that at a later time. Yeah, I think I said everything I wanted to say. The dog's bugging me to go out. Trying to make it a little more informative here. Kind of a pain digging out all these guns and taking them back upstairs. I got to come up with a place upstairs to do my video. Of course, I'm getting a lot of exercise going up and down the steps. These are beautiful guns, aren't they? I got out of a sick bed. Had my buddy carry me to the car. Like a week out of the hospital with crushed rib cage. We went to buy that. It was 100 degrees in that guy's house. Finally got the deal made. We got out on the porch and I threw up all over that guy's porch. We got the car and left, man. And it was cold. That probably froze on his porch, and he come out the next day and had vomit froze on his porch everywhere. But I come home and my buddy held me up and I stuck around in that and hit a pop can at 100 yards. Dead on, one shot, never fired it again. Took it in, hung it up. To this day, it's never been shot again. It's Leopold. I believe that's a 2-power Leopold. This is a 4-power Leopold. This is a 4-7 shotgun Leopold, which these are all pistols. This open sights here, I don't think I put more than 10 rounds through that either and hung it on the wall. That thing will kick your brains out, even loading it down. You know, you can only get it down so low and still be accurate. All right, well, I hope that answers a bunch of questions. And like I say, I got some other ones. If you go back into my videos, you'll see I did make some videos on these Contenders. And had some of my other ones with the thumbhole stocks and that out. So, hey, jump back there and check on my other ones and hit the like button. And, hey, Randy, thanks for your question. You have a good one, buddy.